All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us, and welcome to our webinar on data observability with Microsoft Fabric. My name is Nick Seamus, Customer Success Director here at Netwoven, and we're excited to hear from several data experts from both the Netwoven and the Microsoft teams. Today, we'll be learning about the importance of data observability and proper data governance and how Microsoft Fabric can help in these areas. We'll also spend some time looking at Power BI integration and how it and other Microsoft data technologies such as Direct Lake, Direct Query, and data import can help you better understand your data. We'll finish up with a Q&A session with our panel of subject matter experts. And today's event is designed to be an interactive experience, so please share any specific data challenges you may be experiencing in the Q&A functionality, and please pose your questions there as well, and we'll do our best to answer them. With that, let me turn it over to my colleague, Walt DePetris.
Well, thanks, Nick, and appreciate everybody's time to joining our webinar. You'll get a chance to meet the expert panel a little bit later in our presentation. But as you can see on the agenda, we have a lot of information to cover and a great team from Microsoft to share their insights. Wanted to provide a few comments about what we think Data Observability is a great framework to help you with data governance and improve quality of your data solutions. Since the requirements of GDPR in 2018 and many other industry-specific regulations, we've seen our customers more interested in improving their data governance approaches. Effective data governance ensures quality and consistency in data used to power critical business decisions, as well as data loss protection in an ever-changing security environment. Data observability is a process used by businesses working with large amounts of data. It includes a variety of methods and techniques that help identify and resolve data issues in real time. The process builds a multidimensional map of businesses' entire data flow and offers deeper insights into system performance and data quality. We use it as a part of our framework for all our data projects, and we'll try to show you a little bit about what we've learned through that process. As you know, strong approach to data governance benefits the entire organization by giving individuals a clear way of accessing data, shared terminology to discuss data, and a standard way to understand data and make it meaningful. Data observability provides an overview to eliminate data flow problems immediately. It helps in resolving problems with data quickly and effectively through the use of measurement systems. We will talk a little bit about together that they form a foundation of comprehensive data pipeline, to streamline data management and make maintenance easy through continuous monitoring data metrics, logs, and traces to predict anomalies and abnormal behavior. In this webinar, we'll be exploring everything you need to know about these two crucial aspects of modern business strategy, as well as some exciting progress on many Microsoft tools to unlock the full potential of your data's most valuable asset, its data. As you'll see, Microsoft's made some great progress in adding support for data observability in many of their processes and their products. A few highlights that we'll cover today is recent release of Data Activator and a cool tool for exposing data via Data Wrangler. We also have some real-world comparisons about Power BI Direct Lake mode and observations about Microsoft Fabric's journey to generability. We really appreciate you taking the time today. Please share your questions and feedback on the content so we can address them in the expert panel. I'd like to introduce Nana Devuri, our senior architect, to talk more about these topics. Nana?
Thanks, Walt. Good morning and good afternoon and good evening. Some people I see from India. Okay. Just now, Walt explained what exactly it means to us today, and Gartner says 65% of the world's population in 2023 will be covered by laws similar to GDPR. Hence, there is a lot of various data and privacy regulations. Hence, data governance and importance will go up. At the same time, 83% of organizations experience more than one data breach in their lifetime. Hence, the importance of data governance plays a key role, especially in a digitalization, which we are going nowadays, especially. But with all this importance of data governance, which is there from long time, we do see data governance implementation challenges. lack of ailment, different departments, and security versus governance, compliance. There are a lot of departments, and a lot of people, they do different way, so that there is a lack of an ailment in the enterprises, and the data silos. It's increasing very heavily, so it's very difficult for data engineers or governance experts, to look into this, verify. And data security and classification is becoming a big subject, for various things. Then the more important is integrated security. That is, not only data security, data governance. It also comes from, infrastructure security is combined now because of digitalization. Hence, the importance of data governance, a greater importance today to us, But when we talk about this data governance implementation challenges, is there any tool or is there any framework, which helps this data governance implementation much better, Yes, we have. Next slide, And we are bringing the concept of data observability. It's not a new concept, but we practice very well in Netwoven. At the same time, Microsoft also, practices. As for, Gartner, what is the data observability means? Ability of an organization have a broad visibility of its data landscape and the multi-layer dependencies, just like, data pipelines, data infrastructure, data applications. Okay, this is the broader, definition given by Gartner, and we took that, as a reference. But it got main 5 pillars. One is a freshness, process to keep, data updated in a freshness cadence, maybe 1 day updates, refresh, or, every hour difference. What is the dependencies of the data? How do we refresh? So this is a definition of, that is the reference cadence it gives, And distribution. What is the distribution, Data distribution, reliability assessment, when I'm loading the data, my batches, how reliable this data is loading, exactly which tables it has to go, where it has to go, exactly it's going or not. Value, completeness of your, data set. Yesterday I got 2 million, today I got 500,000. What does it mean? Is there any problem? We have to look into that. And schema, this is the most, area where organizations, they suffer a lot of data downtimes, documenting the organization of your data changes, in the schemas. Then lineage, where it started, where is the downstream, investors, it's going, and when affected in the upstream, where is the downstream is impacted, the total lineage. These are the 5 principles it works. When we take care of these 5 pillars, it gives a better data quality, boost data reliability, optimization data operations, excellent data products, better control of cloud data, especially. And what it matters, that improves data accuracy and timely delivery of data, address data concerns in the early stages, and prevent data downtime, effective on a cost optimization it gives you. Okay, next slide, Walt. Okay, when we talk of data observability, what about, even, Microsoft, in their cloud adoption framework, it supports data observability. Maybe the words are different, but exactly the 5 pillars, it also supports data platform service monitoring, data pipeline performance monitoring, data quality monitoring, data lineage, and data discovery. Basing on this 5, and CAF, gives you, 5 stages maturity rating. And why Microsoft excels in this, we'll talk in the further. But whereas for stage 1, learning, planning, 3rd is evolving, 4th is advanced, 5 is highly advanced. There is a detailed discussion given in the appendix. People, you can look into that, read what exactly it means, so that next slide. Okay, we talk about data observability. We talk about CAF also talks about data observability. We also talk about data governance. What are the problems? But how does it data observability will tightly connected with data governance? Okay, number 1, data governance helps set framework for data observability. Okay, when they create procedures and functions, data observability look into that, and it implements those functions very well, and procedures, and data governance strategy, troubleshooting, resolutions, and problems outlined in the data governance strategy is visible to the business through data observability. Data governance and data observability from the foundation of a comprehensive data pipeline. The moment the data pipeline comes, where before pipeline we create some of the AI models, and right through down to the business, it goes and gives what exactly it's happening and what is the predictive anomalies and normal behaviors it tells to the business or as a company. Data observability also helps bridging the gap the existing data governance means. Even in my practice, and I say most of the data governance policies are owned by IT and development. But whereas business doesn't have that say, that do not have any end-to-end business perspective. That is a complaint always I get with my 25 years here. But whereas data observability ensures a well-rounded, comprehensive, and conceptual approach to resolving bottlenecks and driving results, and where it is problem, where is the problem resolved, what is the end result. Business have a very clear view of data observability, which will enhance data governance. When it use it together, data governance and observability, performance drops and or a minimum threshold is an alert engineers in data advance so that proactive fixes can be done. That's where the complex of data management is help tackle data quality and security problems by data observability. Plus quality improves approach with data quality with data governance. So they are in hand in glove and they are tightly together. Data observability enhance the implementation of data governance. Okay, next slide, please. Difference between data observability and data governance. We discussed everything. What's the difference? Jnana, people may ask, right? Data governance means the data governance helps in setting the right data management policies and procedures. If you look into the life cycle, data governance covered by process, people, and technology, and surrounded by ownership, knowledge, quality, security, and accessibility. But whereas if you come back to data observability is more in the monitoring, data lineage, metadata monitoring, then testing, that is how it is working, alerts and all, how my data pipelines quality is working, how it is going. But whereas it contains also data governance because it takes the principles and procedures from data governance, it supports it. That's the difference, that's the way it adds to data governance. Next slide, please. Yeah. When we talk this basic fundamentals, what is the data observability, what is data governance, then how CAF supports this. Right now we were shifting a gear into data observability built into Microsoft Fabric. That's where we are going to discuss. Microsoft Fabric integrated solution software as a service brings my Fabric brings data observability industry framework to enterprise. Next slide, please. Microsoft Fabric is integrated solution software as a service. What does it mean for us? Ease of use, no infrastructure to manage, start in minutes without IT knowledge, same UI in Power BI and Microsoft, so same UI. Then scalability, anytime you can add users, remove users, scale up and scale down, and bursting and smoothing help you pass Monday 9 AM rush, absolutely no problem without any problem, and cost effective, no long-term commitment, scale up and scale down when you need. You can scale up for a few hours for end of the periods calculations and then scale down. Accessibility works on a PC or a tablet. You just need a web browser. Security hosted on a Microsoft cloud infrastructure. One security, same rights across tables, lake files, all other integrated products that gives one security in one place. And then you rent the software and the infrastructure, pay only for what you use. So that's another advantage of the SaaS product, Fabrics. And Fabrics contains these various integrated tools, inbuilt Fabrics, integrated admin and management, data science, OneLake, real-time analysis, data warehouse, data engineering, data factory, Power BI, Purview, One Security, data activity, and Copilot. So with all those ingredients, these services itself, data observability is enabled, so that overall, without knowing an enterprise, when you install Microsoft, it already achieved that data observability enablement in Microsoft Fabric. That helps a lot for the organizations. Next slide, please. Yeah, then come to the cost in Fabric licensing. Process capacity. We have a tenant and we have workspaces, then capacity on the CUs and 0.18 CU servers, it's $9 per day, and additional storage can be 0.23 gigabytes. Network, when you go for other clouds, Ingress may charge. And another extra advantage with individual licensing is here. I don't have Power BI, but Power BI but I have other BI tool, but I want to use Power BI. Can I do that? Yes. You can go for a $10 per month in a pro user or a premium in a $20 user, enable it, and work it if you like it, and then implement, and get that in a BI total migration to Power BI. There it goes. Absolutely. Next slide, please. Yeah, with all the advantages, what you talk, Fabric brings data observability, industry framework to the enterprises, without knowing, unknowingly, which it brings it in an intimate, because Fabric itself, it implements in data observability inside, enablement in the Fabric, Microsoft Fabric. The three values we get from the data observability is, time to value. That is, in a Fabric connects to your existing stack quickly, seamlessly, not require modifying your pipelines, writing new code, or using a particular programming language, time to value. Security first architecture, end-to-end security, and Microsoft Fabric security with Purview is a governance tool already there in the Microsoft, as well as Defender, everything, and other monitoring. All the tools are there along with data observability, so that security first architecture Microsoft gives minimal configurations. Absolutely, go and install. All the product is there. There is no need of configurations and all. The great data observability platform uses ML models to automatically learn your environment and your data. It means OpenAI is embedded. ML and AI is embedded with Microsoft Fabric, so that we get the three values. Next slide, please. When I say these three values, Jnana, and how it achieves, you may ask. Then, yes, we have products we are going to show you. Data Activator, Purview, Graph Data Connect helps, Dataverse, Data Wrangler, and Power BI Data Lake, improves performance, which we can talk. Next slide, please. And this is Data Activator, is an applied data observability. A public preview, just 10.10.23. Now it is available in Fabric, here itself, and how it works. I have my insights, my data flow is coming outside, whatever the sources it is coming. Then in between, I have modules, rules, and triggers. Then no code, you need not write, interactive in analytics, real-time streaming process, higher order events. We look into that, and you can get it to Teams, Outlook, or Power Automate, or custom, you can make it. Okay, it works in 3 steps: connect to your data, detect actionable conditions, trigger actions. Let's take some of the examples. In sales, alerts a sales manager if a particular customer is in areas with their payment, so that he may not send out. He has to look into that. Inventory, check whether the inventory levels for a particular product are sufficient, and notify an operations manager if not. IT operations, automatically monitor a data quality metrics and kick off remedial process if those metrics below target. And IoT, automatically create an engineering support ticket if a refrigerator temperature is too high, or if a total panel is going out, that office total inside is very hot, automatically it takes action, and it brings down the temperature. And especially in the retail shops, it works very well which we implemented in IoT. It also takes care automatically. So this applied data observability there with the Data Activator. Next slide, please. Then go beyond compliance with Microsoft Purview. Purview is inbuilt, this data governance tool, your classifications, your data mapping, your DLP, data loss prevention, everything is inbuilt. But right now, it's only for the admins, we are working. But whereas, down the line, 1 or 2 months, it will open to data stewards, developers, those viewers, governance teams, everybody can look into the data teams. We can look into that. It's a great effort, bringing, this Purview into the fabrics, we can take advantage of the total governance of the product. Next slide, please. Collaboration and communication integration. And even my personal experience, this is the question people ask me. We have so much data in this, M365, Microsoft 365, 18 terabytes of data, 300 million, Office 365 users, security, devices, files, events, chat channels, notification, takes groups, what exactly it means. How do you take this data? Where do you do? And people use so many tools tools, you will be surprised, to know those tools and how much they struggle. But with, Microsoft and a Graph Data Connect, you can put the data into Microsoft in one lake, and you can all your assets, all your, alerts and all your, Power, along with the Power BI, you can see all the analysis, reports, exactly what they want. It's a great site for the executive management dashboard reports also. Next slide, please. Now, the another aspect is, it is coming, but Dynamics 365 and the Dataverse, and it's a big subject, where Power Apps and Dataverse, it's a very, very, fascinating and, fast approach is coming. Because of that, what happens, I can take the Dataverse, data into one lake, I can load it, but in the down the line, maybe another 3-4 months, I can query data directly from here. So there is no need for me to copy or duplicate this data. So that's the greatest effort is coming up, with Microsoft Fabrics, and Dataverse combination. Next slide, please. The another important thing, data science integrated into the analytics workflow. Okay, problem formulation and ideation. Data science for business insights, and it's inbuilt right now absolutely in the fabrics. First, what we do, it identifies the problem formulation and an ideation, what exactly it means. Data discovery and pre-processing, experiment and build ML models, enrich and operate, gain insights we'll do. So because of that, what happens, everything is, data observable. Everywhere it is observable, so that, what is happening, how this ML is going. But now they are adding, data wrangler, a data preparation intuitive tool, for cleansing the data. The another advantage is the data wrangler. When they do use this data, it automatically creates, Python scripts, automatically it creates. So data scientists can take this Python script when they are using 5 or 6 different things, they get into notebook. So that will become a Bible for them to develop a complex ML product, in the future. So this is another added advantage. So this is also a data observability in the data science for business insights. And with all the data observability, insights enabled here, when you go back to, CAF, we will be, by the time, we implement production, you will be in an advanced maturity level of data observability with Fabrics. That is the benefit, that's the insight I want to bring to the our team, so that, with this, I think, hope, enjoy my presentation. Any questions, we can answer in the QA. Thanks, Walt, for giving me a chance.
Thanks, Donna. A lot of great topics. And again, really encourage everybody to post any questions in the Q&A chat box. And now we're going to transition a little bit and dig deeper into Power BI. And we have Mohini from Microsoft. So please jump in, Mohini.
Hey everyone, I am Mohini Verma from Microsoft. I'm a senior technical specialist. So let's talk about Power BI being an integral part of Fabric. I mean, Microsoft Fabric is a software as a service. It's not a new product, rather it brings a lot of products or services that we already had as part of Microsoft Azure data stack under one spot. Prior to this, we only had Power BI in the software as a service form, and Power BI service was already fully featured from a product standpoint. We had the concept of workspaces and capacities. However, everything in analytics was in the platform as a service, where you had to go and wire these services together, and it was super complicated. With Fabric, Microsoft is basically leveraging the same platform that millions of Power BI users are already used to. And it's extending it to the different workloads that Nana just went over. So one of it is Data Activator or the data engineering workloads. And Power BI Premium Platform, if you have used it, it is basically the Fabric platform. So nothing new in that sense. Now, can we go to the next slide, please? So OneLake is basically the foundation for all the Fabric data items, and that kind of goes into all these points on this slide, which everything becomes possible because OneLake is the single unified logical SaaS data lake for the whole organization. OneLake comes automatically provisioned with every Fabric tenant, and there's no infrastructure to manage. So that's why when we talk about unified governance or foundation, everything is any data in OneLake, it works out with out-of-the-box governance, such as data lineage, data protection, certification, catalog integration. And these are things that if you have used Power BI, these should be familiar to you. All the data is ultimately under the control of a tenant admin, and OneLake enables distributed ownership. Basically, different workspaces allow different parts of the organization to work independently while still contributing to the same data lake. And every workspace can have its own administrator, access control, region, or capacity for billing. So basically, if you think about it, OneLake is supposed to be the OneDrive for data. Now, Fabric also makes enterprise-grade collaboration possible. And why I say this, because with the recent announcement of Fabric and Power BI becoming part of Fabric, it makes it possible for folks to do Git integration. This allows the developers to integrate their development processes, tools, and best practices straight into the Microsoft Fabric workspace. And so now if you develop in Fabric, the developers can back up and version their work, roll back changes as needed, collaborate or work in isolation using Git branches. And so you can leverage the same capabilities which are used to with familiar source control tools to manage the workspace items. And currently, you can do like integrate Fabric workspaces with Azure repos, and it supports two Fabric items, which is Power BI datasets and Power BI reports. And in future, more Fabric items will be supporting Git integration. Now, the most important benefit is basically the direct lake capability, and we're going to dive deeper into the direct lake capability in the next slide. But last but not the least, I think the topic that's probably the most talked about in recent time is the use of generative AI. And that is being done through the Copilot experience in Power BI, which has been built using Azure OpenAI. Currently, the Copilot for Power BI is in private preview, and the public preview is expected to be announced very soon. Currently, the Copilot experiences in Power BI are focused around report creation and make more towards the end users. A lot more of the Copilot experiences are going to be coming soon, not just in Power BI, but for the other workloads of Fabric. So that's something to look forward to. Can we move to the next slide, please? And let's talk about actually one of the most critical things that came out as part of Fabric announcements, and the fact that Power BI is now part of Microsoft Fabric, and that is the direct lake mode. So until now, if you've used Power BI, if you wanted to create a data set, you had to choose between import mode or direct query mode for data access. So on one hand, import mode delivers blazing fast performance, but then Power BI has to first copy the data during the refresh. Any change at source is only picked up with the next data refresh. But if you think about direct query mode, it avoids having to copy the data, but it typically suffers performance degradation because it has to submit federated queries to the other database systems that are not as efficient for BI queries. Now we come to direct lake mode. Because all the Fabric items are leveraging OneLake, this makes it possible for us to come to this third mode, which is the direct lake mode, which combines the advantages of both import mode and direct query and provides query performance on par with import without having to copy data or manage refreshes. Direct lake technology is basically based on the idea to load Parquet formatted files directly from a data lake without having to copy or query a data warehouse or lakehouse endpoint. And it doesn't have to import or duplicate data into a Power BI data set. And all this is basically it's doing is it's loading data directly from the files into memory at runtime. And since there's no explicit import process, it's possible to pick up any changes at source as they occur. And that's how it combines the advantages of both direct query and import mode and avoids all the disadvantages. Now, all this is possible because Power BI's analysis services engine is also adopting the Delta Lake Parquet format, which is the format that is being used for all the OneLake data items and artifacts. With that, I will hand it over back to Walt to talk a little bit about the benchmarking that they have done.
Thanks, Mohini. And Nan is going to talk a little bit about some of the experiences we had in this early testing.
I think, Mohini, it's not right on my part, what work we do. Microsoft is not responsible for this benchmark, but we did it internally in Netwoven. And that's where, we are speaking about that, Mohini talk. Yeah.
We do have a question, actually. The question is, does Data Activator or maybe another system have the ability to detect downstream impacts of changes to the data?
Maybe we could take that in the Q&A. We do want to get through some of these slides, Nick.
Okay, great.
Okay, we'll take in the Q&A. Okay. Direct Lake Power in a benchmarks now. We have done a simple visual report. We call it as SVR. Then SVR with a data slicer or a filter, we have did it, something, and we took it an example, and we have 500K records. This testing was conducted in Fabric preview environment with F64 CU. So that is where we get with the preview, So that in SVR with average top 10, we took it records. Then table column with a granular data is a flat table, is a granular data we took it. When it's data import, it's 126 milliseconds to 178 milliseconds. Whereas we are there on the default, that is 90 to 413 milliseconds. So it is benchmarks are lower benchmarks are very good within a VR, the Direct Lake, but it goes to 413 milliseconds. The question comes, because it is in the preview, there are a lot of things that are adding Microsoft, sometimes it may slow down. So at that time, when preview, things are, moving directly underneath, kernel, to Microsoft Fabric from the Microsoft, we may see this variation. But we do see a benchmark of 90 milliseconds with a simple visual report. This one, it's a good sign. Then in a VR the off, it also comes 90 and in 1910 milliseconds it comes. It's a good performance for real-time data. And SVR with the data slicer or a filter, 101 to 280 milliseconds we see with the data import, whereas 142 to 672 milliseconds we see, but it's very close to the import perform a little bit better. And SVR with average top 20, 110 to 224. This is a where Direct Lake with vOrder is 95 to 125. vOrder is a compression technique we use. So because of that, it's much faster and a lot of advantages we have. So this is a very good performance, Direct Lake. Then table column with the granular data is a flat table. We got everything in the same. So we have some observations where we performed very well, but I cannot compare a Direct Lake, data import, because it's already in the Power BI. It's a very stable mode, but I'm working with a little bit preview unstable mode. But one important point I want to make it, it is catching up the benchmarks of data import 90, 143, 95. Absolutely, there are good signs, but there is a problem, sometimes, what happens when I'm in the Direct Lake, when I'm going, if Direct Lake, if Fabric thinks, hey, going to Direct Lake, if I go to, directly, another way, the complexity, direct query, then it shift to direct query. Then what Mohini said in the direct query first. There's some problems, Some of the DAX functions will not work with direct query. For that, I think this data activator, that our AI, it will come. Hey, though you are telling data activator, it sees some DAX functions which are not compatible. It will not allow. That feature has to come, which we recommended to the Microsoft, so that we can take care of this problem also. In conclusion, Direct Lake presents an exciting potential for Power BI users, especially with reorder optimization. It can handle large data sources and improve performance in specific scenarios. Absolutely. So that, however, it is a still work in progress, and we see improvements in performance and new updates that will further enhance this promising feature. So, thanks. And it's a direction. We don't say its benchmark is totally. It's a direction, positive direction. We are going in the direct lake mode. That's our conclusion. Thanks. Thanks, Walt.
Thanks, Nana and Mohini, for the deep dive in Power BI. Now we're just going to talk about the business benefits and
Vidya,
some of the
Divya.
Yeah, and now we'll talk. Divya will talk a little bit about some of these topics, and then we'll close with the journey to general availability. Divya, can want to cover it?
Sure. Thank you very much. So as Mohini and Nana mentioned before in the previous slides, Fabric is a you can think of Fabric as a one-stop shop platform where you can do data engineering tasks, you can do machine learning, you can do Power BI, you can also do data warehousing tasks as well. So it's a platform that really helps you bring data from different sources and work with this data in one platform. So that means you're not individually paying licensing fees, or you're not individually paying you're just paying for the platform itself, which makes it super convenient from an administrative perspective. And we can go to the next slide, please. As you can see here on the slide, from a cost perspective, it really reduces your cost from a long-term perspective, because you're not paying for Synapse, you're not paying for ADF, you're not paying for Azure Machine Learning, you're not separately paying for Power BI. All of those different tools that you use from a data orchestration perspective, all of it is embedded in one platform. So you're just paying for the capacity of using Fabric. And Fabric comes in various capacities, and I will put the link to understand more about the capacity and the licensing model in the chat. But you're just paying for the capacity and the usage of Fabric, which makes it super convenient. And from a data perspective as well, Fabric has this concept of putting data in workspaces. So you can have granular control on who's going to have access to which workspace and also to which lake houses. So from a administrative perspective as well and governance perspective, it just makes it easy because every business unit can have their own workspaces, for example. And as we are going towards architecture of data mesh, a lot of organizations will have to, moving forward, start thinking about, should I just allocate the administrative piece to the IT, or should I take ownership of my data and make sure it's clean and it has the right access controls? And that's what number 3 talks about. You have to create a data culture to every business units, and data has to become a product for every business unit. It shouldn't be looked at as an IT headache. It is a product, and every business unit moving forward will have to be responsible for managing their own data. And from a speed to market perspective as well, if you have clean data and if all of this data is residing in its own lake houses, from just like an innovation perspective, it just makes it easier to innovate and create products that's going to add value to your business, where you don't have to worry about the IT, the administrative, and other governance pieces of the puzzle. And you can go to the next slide. And right now, Fabric is in trail. It's in public preview. You might encounter 1 or 2 errors here and there. But again, some of these, any kind of buggy issues is being actively resolved. And as you play with Fabric, please do provide your feedback. There is a feedback in the product page where you can go and report any bugs or any issues that you encounter. But all of these issues are being resolved actively by the product team.
Thanks,
Yes,
Divya. And this is a great
Roadmap.
site. If anybody's not gone to it, it does provide you kind of updates of what's been fixed and what's been kind of on the roadmap. So thanks, Divya, for that quick overview.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, you want to talk about this journey?
Yep. I think this is Netwoven's view after working with Fabrics almost the last 5 months, and we have we formed this a positive view. From the date of the announcement of the Fabric preview, we have seen improvements every time, and we also seen regular introductions of new functionality. Here is our assessment of the progress. Number one, new features are being consolidated and integrated in each minor release. Major kernel changes are settling down, and maybe Q&A will come down to what is that kernel changes and settling down with improved performance and expand functionality. Customer adoption during preview is free for pre-pilot setting and can be upgraded to a cost-based enterprise version without migration when general availability occurs. It means, hey, I have done everything here. It should be a production, and you go and purchase that one, you will be in production. Means literally you are doing your project without paying anything and you are going to the production. Those people are in a preview, they will have the benefit. Otherwise, 1 month you can test it out free, then you can go to purchase, those months under benefit we have shown in the previous slides. And data governance and observability enhanced with AI and Purview in recent upgrade. A few things cannot work region to region like move. It's understandable because it's in the preview. If you want to move from region to region, it doesn't work like that. Microsoft has a control, so that's where intentionally they don't allow region to region like move right now. Maybe in future, yes, definitely region to region you can move it. And data warehouse, I do agree. I am working with the data warehouse right now. Some of that because the kernel change is totally changed here. Because data warehouse and no more SQL distributed engine has gone and it is all in one lake. So that the another Polaris analytic engine is coming, a new one. Because of that, some TSQL commands may not, but it's resolved very fast. Microsoft is running very fast. In Power BI, most of the features works. If some features they are fixing up immediately. There is a few issues with shortcuts that will be resolved. Microsoft said we got assurance from Microsoft that will be resolved, but we have found workarounds to help mitigate short-term needs. Fabric licensing is integrated one model that lowers costs. It is easier to administrate and plan. All-inclusive and integrated product services give better data observability. Check out the Microsoft Fabric open issues and release plan documentation. With our understanding, when we went to the release plan documentation up to 2024 first quarter, I think with my experience, I'm predicting it may go to GA by March 2024 March. Basically, by December we will be in a very good shape. Very good shape. People can think of looking into the fabrics. So thank you. What?
Thanks, Donna. Now we made it to our expert Q&A panel. I can't thank enough the Microsoft team that's joined on the call, and we have a couple key questions that have come in. So I'm going to go back to that question that I think Nick, you had kind of started to propose. Does Data Activator, or is there another system, have the ability to detect downstream impacts of changes to data?
Peter.
Who would like to take that?
Peter.
Hi, thanks everybody, and happy to be here with the Netwoven team. Thank you, Yana, for the invite and really good conversation thus far. Well, Data Activator, as Yana pointed out, I think in one of his earlier slides, is relatively new. It's in public preview now. However, its role is primarily related to sort of taking insight to action for your business data. Business-centric data, things like, if there are products that are out of in your inventory or on the verge of being out and so on. So to alert, send emails and so on to alert you of things that are happening from a business perspective from within your data or within your data sets or your data lake or so on. However, if you're looking at the impact of data change, that goes back to another one of Yana's earlier slides that speaks to data lineage, which is a little bit more focused on the telemetry associated with the underlying platforms that are supporting your data. So that's more of a purview pillar, and that would allow you to be able to see, the impact of your data or changes in data downstream as your users, the data sets, Power BI data sets, and so on and so forth down the line. So it's less so activate and probably more so purview. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
To Peter, even in the lineage, what the question comes, what is the impact? Once you have a proactive, metadata tables, before your pipelines, and that gives you AI pipeline AI, and we do that in Fabric. We have looked into that, and that gives you the impact. Hey, this is the problem. This is the impact you're going to have, and down the trends that will give you. Then it also resolves it. Okay, let's small example. I have data is coming up. It got a dependency. That dependency data come, and as per the batch, and it goes and reports. Then the data is bad because it has to take the dependency data. Then it has to both take do some business logic. Then it has to load. Means the outdated business logic is wrong. So because of that, what happens? It tells me, hey, this dependency is not came. Don't load the data. And
Exactly.
Once that dependent data comes, only combine it, do that. That is the impact analysis we can do with. That is also comes. It's not in the data activator, but whereas in the data pipelines itself, AI.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good point as well.
And maybe related, Peter or Divya, what's the difference between data factory, data engineering, and data warehouse? This kind of broader topic that came up.
Yeah, I can talk about that. So these are different components. Like data factory is just a tool that helps you move your data from point A to point B. And data warehouse is a place where you store your data, which is structured. So when you're moving your data from, like, for example, from like a SQL database or on-prem SQL server, or any source that for that matter, it could be Snowflake or AWS, you use ADF. That's our data orchestration tool. It's like our ETL tool by Microsoft. You use that to extract, transform, and load the data in the lakehouse, which is like a traditional data warehouse. You load the data. You can load it raw format using like just like extracting and just loading ELT, or you can even transform it using ADF and just put the data in Fabric.
Thanks. And somewhat related here is also any guidelines for moving from Synapse Analytics to Fabric.
I can take a stab at that one, and would love feedback from Mohini and Divya as well as the rest of the team. I think the guidance is that Synapse is going to be a platform that is going to be available for many years, right? So there is not an imminent sort of requirement to transition to Fabric, although there are so many benefits into considering Fabric as a platform for your analytics. So that's one thing. Two, the more lake-centric your approach when you're deploying Synapse, or when you're managing and enhancing your experience as you continue to use Synapse, the easier the path to Fabric will be, right? So because of all of the things that Mohini and Gyana pointed out related to the one lake and the more lakehouse-centric architecture of Fabric, right? In addition to that, there are tools that are going to be available, and some are already available, that will allow you to be able to do that migration if that is what the business requires, and you need to take advantage of the features of One Lake Data Activator and so on and so forth that are a part of Fabric. Then there will be tools, and there will be services from great partners like Netwoven that would help you to take that step from Synapse into Fabric in the most seamless fashion possible, right? So
To add to Peter, I think important, Peter, there is no further development on the Synapse Analytics, but it will be there under 3 to 4 years. But all the development will be only in the Microsoft Fabric. The another thing people has to realize that, but yeah, they can phase it out, And slowly, as Peter said, they can come back and and maybe by 2 to 3 years, phase the projects and bring it in fabrics. That's another way people can do that. So that gives a better ROI, because they reduce cost there. They are not going to spend that much of a year, so that it gives them money back to the enterprise.
Thanks, Peter. Thanks, Nana. Related to that, there was a difference. What is the difference between Synapse dedicated pool versus Fabric's warehouse? Or warehouse and Fabrics.
Dedicated pool.
Dedicated Synapse
Okay.
dedicated pool.
Can I take this question?
Okay.
Synapse dedicated pool is a storage, compute versus storage in a separate one, and it works on SQL distributed. It's a separate storage. Exactly as relational database works. But whereas it's totally changed in the warehouse in Fabrics. Fabrics doesn't have a separate storage, but at the same time that is a storage. What compute versus storage there and it is a stateful. In the Synapse dedicated pool, whereas in warehouse is a stateless, because what happens, it will not have, all the data will be in the data lake, one lake, and all the data will be in the cells, in the data cells, and those cells, they are, known for their, own recovery, own, initiation, everything. And this is our distribution and partition will be the part of the cells. Because of that, what happens, if you look into that, dedicated in SQL pool, the in-flight, transactions, they are in the memory. If your computer node goes, you lose those transactions. But whereas in warehouse, you don't lose those transactions, because all this metadata, all this information is outside of this compute, so that anytime you can do that, you can do that very well. That's the reason actually when you want to scale out and scale down, and it knows where are the cells, it immediately brings the data when you scale down. When you scale up, it spreads the data. That's the advantage. It's totally different to thing. It's a compute versus state difference. State is is a stateless, but that is in a compute versus storage. That's the difference.
Good. So yeah, coming back to it, so really using SQL pools in Synapse, using traditional SQL, and then as you said in Fabric Warehouse, it's using Data Lake.
Yep,
that's great. Two more related things, but I'll just ask one quick one. What are the advantages of Data Wrangler? That was kind of a one-off question. Anybody?
Yeah.
I can take that.
Yeah.
Thanks, David.
So Data Wrangler, obviously, like when you import the data in any storage, right here, it's going to be Fabric. You definitely you will have your team of data engineers who's going to be working with the data to massage the data, remove any duplication, redundancy. So using the inbuilt tools within Fabric, we have Jupyter notebooks, we have pipelines, and we have ADF type of features. So you can use those tools to wrangle your data, clean the data up, and then put the clean data in your lakehouse.
Great. And Divya, maybe related, I
Yeah.
don't know if you're the best person. There's a question here about
another advantage already I discussed what, when you do Data Wrangler, the cleansing and all, it automatically creates a Python script for you. So these Python scripts, when a data scientist, doing 3-4 models, right, 3-4 types, is imputing, data, slicing the data, and automatically it creates those scripts. I can keep these all scripts into notebook. That will become a fundamental base for the data scientist to go for a complex ML models.
Thanks. And a clarifying question here was just why is Microsoft using Polaris Analytic Engine in OnLake Warehouse and SQL Server? SQL serverless, and then Data Wrangler is using Pandas in Data Science for Business Insights. Any comments?
There are two different aspects of this, because Panda is a memory based, and it takes the data wherever it is there, it is there. But whereas Polaris is not like that. Polaris is a analytical engine, and it serves the petabytes of data, and data is coming, data is going, right? So that that is a totally different mechanism of analytical loads, and petabytes of data it can take it. But whereas data wrangler, in the data wrangler is a more of a data science tool, and data scientists use a lot, but at the same time it's a little bit slow. That's where we need a powerful engine. That's where Microsoft, what they did, they start using Polaris for warehouse as well as SQL serverless, both. Before they used to work with SQL serverless, but now both warehouse and SQL serverless use Polaris analytical engine for the amount of data it comes, the amount of work it has to do, the amount of data it has to load. But data wrangler and Panda is not loading the data. Whatever data is there, you take it, you develop data wrangler, then it creates Python scripts. You look into that as intuitive tool. That's the basic difference. They use Panda in data wrangler.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just using the just to add to Jana, it's just using the right tool for the right use case, right? So what fits. Yeah.
And then maybe the last question, this might be a tough one to answer, but at least I'll pose it. Microsoft's chosen to roll out Fabric in a before final release, like many other companies are using, release their SaaS products when it's ready for production. And there's a lot of components that are still out in preview. Related to that, there was a question is, when do we think Fabric will be released? So the question is, why did Microsoft adapt a different approach for releasing Fabric with all these previews? And when do you think it'll be released? Who wants to take that?
Yeah.
I mean, I could start, and then Peter, maybe you can continue.
Yeah, I will chime in.
I don't think it's a different approach. Actually, I think Microsoft does that with all the products. We release it in different phases. Even with Power BI, if you see, which is basically the foundation on which Fabric has been built, it started, I mean, like there have been a lot of features. It didn't have all the features at the very beginning, so it got released in different phases. So there's the same experience that we go through. First, it's in private preview, they test it with some customers, and then it goes into public preview, and then it goes into general availability, which is what we are talking about. Even when we get to the general availability, when it's available to everybody, we'll still get features getting rolled out eventually, and still happening for Power BI. Even after 7 years, like it's still happening. Every day new features get released. And I'll let someone else take
Yeah, I will chime in. Last 20 years.
Well, I'm getting a hook here, so let's wrap it up.
Yeah. This one point we'll do that and wrap it up. Okay. And when we do analytics, when you do launch a SaaS product, what happens is you cannot people are taking and they are developing a SaaS product. It will not meet that customer's need. That's where Microsoft, what they did actually, they released this in a preview, and they're getting the feedback, real feedback from the customers. They're involving, because there is a reason. Microsoft got all the industry clouds, because they want a product which suits to all industries, so that they have to take total input, and they are putting together in 6-7 months. That's the reason, and I think they came out with this strategy.
Okay.
Yeah, and the last thing is that you can, to the extent that you have features that you need for your deployment, you can check out AKS, aka.ms Fabric roadmap. It's up and running, and it outlines everything that's coming and the time frame for that. So I think that's a useful tool for you to determine when we'll be, it will be ready for what you need. Yeah.
Thank you so much, and I'll turn it over to Nick. Thanks.
Yeah, big thanks to all of our presenters and our expert panel members today. So this is a great presentation. We've covered a lot of ground, and we've hoped everyone has found this discussion engaging. We have some additional questions here, but we get to that in just a moment. We would like to offer everyone in attendance today a complimentary briefing as a follow-up to today's discussion, and there's 3 examples here. The Data Discovery and Advanced Analytics briefing is an overview of modern cloud and hybrid data landscape to help accelerate your time to value on your data. The Data Governance and Microsoft Purview briefing is an overview of the data ecosystem, best practices in data governance, and how best to leverage Microsoft Purview to add value and reduce risk with your data. And we also are offering a modern data warehouse demo by industry that provides a real-world look at various scenarios and how Microsoft technologies can add value to your data estate. I'll provide a next slide, please. And here are some contact points to follow up. There is more, in fact. So we are offering a additional event next Wednesday, October 18th, to ask additional questions and engage in a more in-depth discussion on some of your specific data challenges. So we hope to see you there. We will be following up with an email containing a free ebook on data observability, as well as links to this presentation and this recording. And I myself, Nick Seamus, you see my contact points there. Please reach out with any additional questions or any desire for any specific follow-ups.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thanks so much. Look forward to our next conversation.
Thanks.